The Western Line. Zones. Zone 11. White Tor and surrounding. Overview. Tours and features. Welcome to the zone videos for the Western Line of Dartmoor. The 11th zone is the tour surrounding White Tor to the west of the Western Line. It consists of these tors, rocks, crags and hills. Little Combe Tor, the Smearden Down Tors, Boulter's Tor, Little Boulter's Tor, Fursey Tor, Set Tor, Wedlake Tor, Little White Tor, White Tor, Hare Tor 2. Best approach and route. This zone sits immediately east of the village of Peter Tavy. To hike this zone, come off the A386 road at the turning for Harford Bridge, a small hamlet with a large campsite, then continue on the road and through the village of Peter Tavy. On the last road on the outskirts of the town heading north, after passing the church grounds on your left, take the immediate narrow road on your right, now heading east. This goes over a cattle grid and kinks right, under Smearden Down, and after a short while, a dug-out rock quarry car parking with space for multiple cars will appear on your left. Park up, and from here you can begin to navigate. Feature 98. Little Combe Tor at around 240 metres. Beginning at the Smearden Down Quarry car park, follow the road east, past and ignoring the upward stone track on your left, but only a short while after seeking a public footpath on your right, beyond the ferns, starting at a gate in the wall that U-turns in a V back on yourself, through a field, then into the woods downhill, into the valley of the Collie Brook stream, also known as the Combe. The track runs parallel to the stream, but uphill, not converging to meet it, at least not for a long time beyond the point you need. Keep an eye on the farm walls to the right of you, as the rocks of the tor sit at the top of the hill, just in front of a stone field boundary wall, to the right of the track. It is a very small and modest tor, with 3 main stacks, dwarfed by its cousin on the opposite side of the Collie Brook Valley, Great Combe Tor, but that is for another video. Feature 99. Smearden Down, 330 metres tall. Beginning at the Smearden Down Quarry car park, come out and take a left up the road, then soon after another left up the stone track. This is the beginning of Twisty Lane, part of the Lich Way, that if followed to its extreme ends can take you all the way to Belvoir Forest. Head up the track until you see an odd boulder perched next to a stone wall corner on your right, then go off-road, turning left through the ferns. This terrain isn't bad, apart from the steepening incline, but in summer, large ferns will dominate. The first rock you will pass is clearly seen uphill ahead of you. Some may mistake this outcrop for the nearby Little Boulter's Tor, but it is a rock on Smearden Down that I tend to think of as being the first of the 10 stacks. When you have climbed to this first stack, the hill levels off from a steep walk into a moderate, gentle uphill walk on a sort of plateau. Aim to walk to the highest point of the hill now. Upon arriving at the top of the hill, you are first greeted by an inverse cairn, like a small crater. Fairly obvious to the west of you now is the second rock stack. Walk over to it, and you will have stunning views of the Tavy Cleave, and many tors, including the tall White Tor and Great Mist Tor. For a nice tour of Smearden Down's many rock stacks, which all form a neat road like a spine, head west, and you may count up to 10 as you pass them down a gentle downhill gradient. The view from the lowest, 10th stack, encompasses Peter Tavy, and sometimes of day you may be greeted by the church bells ringing out. This is a great spot to watch the sunset. To seek more adventure, you may find an 11th rock stack somewhere downhill to the north, before the field boundaries begin. Feature 100. Boulter's Tor at 330 metres. Boulter's Tor is a distinctive perched pile of rock that sits straddling and scattered across a step-like field boundary. Starting from the top of Smearden Down, it is a short, easy walk to the east, at round about the same height. You could also easily reach it from Fursey Tor on Twisty Lane by heading north once at its nearest point. Feature 101. Little Boulter's Tor at 330 metres. The smaller sibling to Boulter's Tor once again sits on a different old stone field wall, but on a more flat plain. To find it, head more east from Boulter's Tor, hugging the field boundary to your left until the inward corner, where a gate provides access to a public footpath to Cudlip Town. Go inside this field and take a few steps north, as you will see the cluster of rocks of this tor mounting the stone wall to your left. Some people know this tor under different names, but its direct proximity to Boulter's Tor marks it out as its smaller sibling. Feature 102. Fursey Tor at 330 metres. From the Smearden Quarry car park, take a left up the road, and another left onto the stone track of Twisty Lane. You may not see this tor coming, surprisingly, even though the track is actually built directly onto it. Follow the track uphill, staying on it, and when Boulter's Tor is adjacent to you on the left, you may already be on Fursey Tor, which juts from the track to its right. If you don't notice it heading east in the uphill direction, perhaps it will become more apparent to you after facing west in the downhill direction. From this vantage point, it becomes more distinctively seen. Feature 103. Set Tor at 360 metres. From Fursey Tor and Boulter's Tor area, stay on Twisty Lane, continuing uphill. You will pass a boulder field, and notice yourself being funneled into a narrow avenue between two farm field walls. This passage freely opens out again beyond a gate to a new expanse of moor called Cudlip Town Down, that is predominantly home to the massive White Tor, seen a fair distance off to your left, the tallest tor in view. But directly right in the grass as you leave the farmer's fields is Set Tor, a short collection of step-like rocks to your right. A nice pit stop. Feature 104. Stephen's Grave and Wedlake Tor at around 360 metres. From Set Tor, rejoin Twisty Lane and continue uphill toward the right side of White Tor. Directly on the right of the lane, you pass a small stone plinth known as Stephen's Grave, an interesting bit of local history. If you are tor bagging, you may be interested to find the rocks of Wedlake Tor, although I must mention they are three disparate patches of rock, and each very small. At Stephen's Grave, leave Twisty Lane, off-road through the grass to the south. The grass is short and the ground is firm here, but sometimes rain will collect. Wedlake Tor presents three stacks, a moderate walk from each other, but in the same area, just before a farmer field boundary. Feature 105, Little White Tor, at 420 metres. On Twisty Lane by Stephen's Grave, you can take a left, north-northeasterly in direction. You'll pass a stone field corner, but stay in open moorland. Little White Tor should already be apparent to you, an area of spiky black rocks, ironically, to the left of the tall White Tor. Before that, it may interest you that you'll pass over an old Stone Age settlement, presenting as a wide, raised ring of old stones in the ground. These would have been walls in the past, outlining an area ancient humans used to live. Not a far walk from this is Little White Tor, with its prehistoric seeming black stones. Feature 106, White Tor, at 468 metres tall. From Little White Tor, head directly to the top of the hill to reach White Tor. From Stephen's Grave on Twisty Lane, continue up the track straight, and when the track begins to bend right, you may spot a partial track in the grass forking off, veering left. Take this track, which does run out, or come off Twisty Lane at your discretion, as the summit of the tall White Tor is plain to see. Some directions may require mild scrambling, but other than that, you are mostly navigating a black boulder field, both on the ascent and on top. The top forms a large wide crown or plateau of very large boulders, which are interesting to explore, with some spectacular deep donut cairns which may provide excellent wind protection. A flagpole sits here, to warn people of the nearby Merivale firing range, although this tour is not inside the danger zone itself. A military hut sits to the northeast reaches, and also in this direction is a field of permafrost mounds, and there is a private tour seen inside a field boundary north of White Tor known as the Butterberries Rocks, but seek permission from the landowner before visiting these. Feature 107, Hare Tor 2 at 430 metres, and the Langstone. Staying on Twisty Lane as it passes White Tor, rather than you leaving it, will take you deeper into Dartmoor. To your right in this area is the Langstone Mire, a large bog, but up ahead the track will change in texture, then pass a tall standing stone, like a menhir, known as the Langstone or Longstone. This is a very distinctive landmark for the region. Come off the track, known as either Twisty Lane or the Litch Way, and go left onto the grass. Head north of here to first pass a dried up pond known as the Langstone Sacred Pool, and more north beyond this, a short walk, you'll locate the final tor of this zone. Beside the wall here is Hare Tor 2, not to be confused with the other Hare Tor 1 at the Tavy Cleave. This is a very small tor consisting of 3 black rocks in a line next to each other. You may also see some other light grey rocks attached to this tor that are private, southwest of the main stack and inside the stone wall of the farmer's field. Additional notes and firing ranges. While red flags may be flown on top of White Tor, it is itself outside of the danger area of the Merivale Ranges. However, one tor in this guide, Hare Tor 2, and also the nearby standing stone of the Langstone, are in fact inside the range of the firing zone, so check the active range times online and look for the red flag flying on White Tor when the firing range is active. Try not to enter this zone to visit these 2 features while live firing is in progress, as it could be dangerous.